Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Rabbi israh li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Rohana A. Panasang, BSIE 4, reporter in Islamic Personal Law. My topic is all about support, or in Arabic term, NAFAQA. Article 65, support defined. Support, NAFAQA, includes everything that is indispensable for sustenance, dwelling, clothing, and medical attendance according to the social standing of a person obliged to give it, and the education of the person entitled to the support until he completes his education, training, or vocation even beyond the age of majority. So, ang meaning ng support is lahat ng napapaloob na pangangailangan ng isang pamilya. For instance, yung maintenance niya or yung pagsusustento sa pamilya, yung pagkain nila, yung tirahan nila, yung panamit nila o yung damit nila, and yung medical attendance. Pero nakadepende yon sa katayuan ng lalaki o yung husband. Depende sa katayuan niya sa buhay. Ayan. Quran 233, he shall bear the cost of their food and the clothing on the equitable terms, according to his means. So, ang Allahu Ta'ala ang nagsabi ay, ang lalaki siya yung responsible. He is responsible for their food, yung clothing nila, according sa kung ano yung kaya niya. Article that the phrase according to the social standing of the family is changed to according to the social standing of the person obliged to give it. So yon, nababago yung way kung paano siya magsustento sa kanyang pamilya, depende sa kung ano yung katayuan nila sa buhay, kung ano yung kaya ng husband. According to the hadith, Abu Mas'ud al-Ansari reports a tradition from the Prophet that he said, when a Muslim spends on his wife and children, considering the same as an act of pity, it turns into supererogatory offering to him. The right of woman over the husband is that he feed her, clothe her, and if she acts out of ignorance, to forgive her. So, yan. Ayon sa hadith ng Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, pinapahiwatig dito na kapag ang lalaki is sinusuportahan niya yung kanyang family, yung kanyang anak, at yung wife niya, consider yun na as an act of worship. So, yun. Ang right ng babae over sa kanyang asawa is pagkainin siya, damitan siya, at kung may nagawang pagkakamali is patawarin siya. So, yun yung hadith ng Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Meaning of nafaqa. Literally, nafaqa means maintenance. In legal terminology, nafaqa refers to the provision for the necessities of life which a man is obliged under the mandate of Sharia to provide to his wife or wives equitably. If he has more than one, and his children, and between him and his nearest ascendants and descendants, in order in which they are called to succeed by intestacy the person who has the right to claim support, in an amount which shall be in proportion to the resources of the giver and the needs of the recipient. So, ang literal meaning ng nafaka is yung maintenance. Yung nami-maintain ng husband yung pag-support niya sa kanyang family, sa kanyang wife, at saka kung may mga anak siya. So, yun. Another meaning niya is yung pag-provide ng mga pangangailangan, which is obligado sa kanya na i-provide yung pangangailangan ng kanyang pamilya under the authority of Sharia. So, yun. At kung may mga pamana siya, ipapamana siya is obliged na ipamana niya doon sa right person na makakakuha nung support na yon. Pero, yung amount na makukuha nung tamang tao o yung kung sino yung karapat-dapat na makakuha ng support na yun is nakadepende sa bilang ng kanyang wealth o yung kayamanan ng husband at saka yung pangangailangan ng receiver. Basis of amount of support. The amount of support of the obligor is obliged to give to the obligee is based on two factors: the means of obligor and the necessities of the recipient, in every case according to the social standing of the person obliged to give it. So, dalawa yung basis sa amount na dapat isupport ng husband sa kanyang family. Una-una is yung kakayahan ng husband, kung ano yung kaya niya. Pangalawa is yung pangangailangan ng kanyang family, yung necessities nila. So, yun. Sa bawat case nun is binibase doon sa kung ano yung kaya ng husband na yun, obliged sa kanya na ibigay yung support na yun sa kanyang family. Ayon naman sa Sunni doctrines, all the four major Sunnis agree that the amount of support shall be according to the affluence and difficulty of the parties. So, yun. Ang four major Sunnis, nag-agree sila na yung amount of support na dapat isupport ng husband sa kanyang family is depende sa kung ano yung kaya niya at yung hindi niya kaya. So, yun. The Hanafi that the amount of support should be in the proportion to the means of the husband. And for the fixation of nafaka maintenance, the status of the wife is taken into consideration. So, ayon kay Hanafi naman, sinabi niya yung amount na support na dapat ibigay ng husband sa kanyang family is depende yon sa kanyang kakayahan. At yung maintenance naman na dapat ibigay niya is depende naman yon sa kung ano yung kailangan niyang i-consider yung status ng kanyang wife. For instance, pag marami silang anak is kailangan niyang ma-maintain yung amount of support na yon sa kanyang wife. The Maliki and the Hanbali schools state, if the couple differ in financial status, a median course will be followed. So, yun, yung kalahati nung median ba yung fair ang masusunod. While according to Shafi'i School of Law, the status and capacity of the husband is the determining factor that is as regard food and clothing, but as regard housing, it should be according to her status. And the latter view is the Zahirul Riwayat, most approved doctrine, and the one in record with the code. So, yun yung kay Shafi'i is yon, yung support na yon, yung amount of support na yun is nakadepende sa estado at yung kakayahan ng husband. For instance, yung sa food at saka sa clothing. But with regard sa pabahay nila is nakabase yun sa estado ng babae. Siyempre, kapag marami silang anak, kailangan talaga is may sarili silang bahay. What support NAFAQA includes? Support NAFAQA as a mandate of Sharia includes not only the basic necessities for maintenance in life such as food, clothing, dwelling, medical attendance, and education to finish a course or vocation, but also those which are needed to keep the person entitled to support to live according to the social standing of the family. So, yun. Hindi lang yung yung amount of support or yung support mo sa family, hindi lang siya yung basic necessities kundi pati na yung pag-ingat mo sa family mo. Yun, kasama mo silang mamuhay sa kung ano lang yung kaya mo. Article 66, amount of support. The amount of support shall be in the proportion to the resources of the giver and the needs of the recipient. So, nabanggit natin kanina yon, yung amount ng pag-support sa family is depende sa bilang ng wealth ng husband at yung pangangailangan ng kanyang family. Quran said, "Let the man of means spend according to his means, and the man whose resources are restricted, let him spend according to what Allah has given him. Allah puts no burden on any person beyond what He has given him." So, ang Allah Ta'ala mismo ang nagsabi, malinaw sa kanyang sinabi na ang lalaki is, yung husband is, ang way ng pag-support niya is according lang sa kung ano yung kakayahan niya at kung ano lang yung ano lang yung wealth na kaya niya, na kailangan niyang i-spend sa kanyang family. Hadith Aisha reported that the Prophet said, "Take what is necessary but be moderate." Bukhari. Article 96 Civil Code. The amount of support in the cases referred to in 5 numbers of Article 291 shall be in proportion to the resources or means of the giver and to the necessities of the recipient. So, katulad nung sinabi ko kanina is mismo ang Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sinabi niya na kunin mo lang kung ano yung pinaka-importante. Kumbaga, kung ano yung kaya mong isupport sa iyong family. So, yun. Determination of maintenance. The schools concur that a wife's maintenance is wajib, obligatory in all 3 forms of food, clothing, and housing. They also concur that maintenance will be determined in accordance with the financial status of the two if both are of equal status. Yun. Isa lang yung opinion nung mga Sunni doctrines na yung maintenance daw ng wife is wajib. So, doon na yung pangangailangan nila ng pagkain, yung damit, at saka yung pabahay. So, yun. Yung maintenance na yun ng wife na yun is depende sa katayuan niya sa buhay or yung katayuan nilang dalawa sa buhay. Article 67, Support for the wife and infant. The wife shall be entitled to support during the marriage. In cases of divorce, talak, her rights shall be extended up to the expiration of the iddah. However, in the case the wife is pregnant at the time of the separation, she shall be entitled to support until delivery. So, yun. Paano ba sinusupport ng husband yung kanyang asawa at kanyang mga anak? So during the marriage ang kasal pa sila ng kanyang asawa is hindi mapuputol yung support na yon. Wajib talaga sa husband na ang support niya sa kanyang wife. But in the case of divorce, so the only support na maibigay niya or sa kanyang wife is hanggang sa expiration ng iddah. So, kahit divorce na sila, kapag wala pang iddah, hindi pa tapos ang kanyang iddah, hindi matatapos yung pag-support niya doon sa hiwalay niyang asawa. But kapag ang wife na yun, in time na divorce na sila is pregnant, so, ang pag-support ng husband is hanggang sa manganak na yung kanyang dating asawa. So, yun. Any divorced nursing mother who continues to breastfeed her child for 2 years shall be entitled to support until the time of weaning. So, kapag nag-divorce naman sila at time na yung wife niya is nagpapadedi sa kanyang anak, is hanggang 2 years yung pag-support ng husband kahit hiwalay na sila Hanggang matapos lang yun, hanggang kapag natuto ng kumain yung bata. So, hihinto na siya sa pagdede. Duration of support. The husband's obligation to support the wife commences from the moment that the wife surrenders herself to her husband as an incident of a valid marriage contract and continues while the marriage between them subsists and is extinguished upon the dissolution of the marriage by death of either of them or by divorce. But in case of divorce, he shall continue to support her till after her period of probation is over, and if she is pregnant, till after her delivery, and if she breastfeed the child, until after the period of weaning, which is fixed at 2 years. So, yun. Yung hangganan ng support, yung husband, yung obligation ng husband sa pag-support ng sa kanyang pamilya is hanggang valid pa yung marriage nila is maintain yung pagsusupport niya sa kanyang family. Maliban na lang kapag naputol yung marriage nila by death or by divorce. So, kapag death naman is doon na mapuputol yung pag-support niya sa kanyang family. Pero kapag ang case ng divorce, katulad ng na-explain natin kanina is, kapag nag-divorce sila is, yung duration ng pag-support ng husband is, kapag hindi pregnant yung kanyang dating asawa or yung hiwalay niyang asawa is, hanggang sa matapos yung idda. So, kapag naman pregnant is, yung duration o yung hangganang ng pag-support sa kanyang asawa is hanggang manganak yun. Pero kapag nag-divorce sila at the time na bagong panganak pa lang yung
It's not until you fall that you
So, yan. For the continuation, kapag pregnant yung wife at the time na divorce na sila is yung duration ng support ng husband is hanggang sa manganak siya yung wife. At kapag nagkahiwalay naman sila at the time na nagpapadede pa yung wife niya sa kanyang anak is yung support ng husband is hanggang hindi pa or yung hanggang sa marunong nang kumain yung bata na yun, or which is fixed na yun na at 2 years yung duration ng support ng husband sa kanyang dating asawa or yung sa hiwalay niyang asawa. So, ang widow naman, a widow has no right to maintenance. So, wala siyang, kumaga naputol na yung right niya na i-support kasi nga widow na siya. So, yung widow is, yun nga, wala na siyang right doon sa maintenance na yun. Kahit pa siya ay pregnant, is hindi na obliged sa kanya na i-support. Ayan. So, yung view naman ng mga Sunni doctrines sa divorce of right to support during her period of probation is as follow. So according to the Hanafis, a woman who is divorced is entitled to receive her maintenance allowance from her husband, either she is divorced revocably or irrevocably. So, kahit divorce siya revocably, na-explain naman dati yung, alam naman natin yung pagkakaiba-iba ng revocable at saka irrevocable divorce, hindi ba? So, kahit ano pang types of divorce or modes, types of divorce is marireceive niya pa rin yung support na yun sa kanyang asawa. According yun kay Hanafi. So, there is, however, a consensus of opinion that she is not entitled to maintenance if she is undergoing idda on the death of her husband. Yun. Sa mga widow naman ito. In case she is pregnant at the time of her husband's death, she shall be entitled to support till her pregnancy is over until she delivers. So according naman sa Maliki school, if the divorcee is not pregnant, she shall not be entitled to any maintenance except residence. If she is pregnant, she is entitled to her full maintenance. It shall not subside even if she leaves the house provided for spending the idda, because the maintenance is intended for the child in the womb, not for the divorcee. So, yun. Yung pag-support na yun is hindi doon binibase doon sa wife, kundi doon mismo yung intention ng maintenance na yun is yung bata, yung at the time na yun, buntis nga yung dati niyang asawa. So, yung kay Shafi'i at Hanbali school state, if she is not pregnant, she is not entitled to maintenance. And if pregnant, she is entitled to it. But Shafi'i add, if she leaves the house of her idda without any necessity, her maintenance shall cease. So, yon. Malinaw naman, hindi ba? At saka dagdag ni Shafi'i na kapag iniwan niya yung bahay at the time na nasa idda pa siya, is matatapos yung maintenance na yun sa kanya, yung support na yun sa kanya. Support to divorce a wife who breastfeed her child. A divorced woman who is breastfeeding her child less than 2 years is entitled to support from her former husband and the child's father until the period of weaning, which is fixed by law at 2 years, for the reason that the child's sustenance depends on her natural milk, and therefore she has to be supported by child's father on the basis of his obligation to support the child. But once the period of weaning is over, her right to receive support shall likewise cease, and the child shall likewise be entitled to receive support exclusive of the support due the mother. So, yan. Siguro yung case dito is kapag yung divorced woman is, yun nga, may anak siya, nagpapadede siya, pero may naging asawa na siya, is yun, kailangan yun i-support ng kanyang former husband. At saka yung dati niyang asawa is yun, until yung bata na yun is marunong na siyang kumain. So, na-fix na yun ng batas or ng Sharia law na 2 years yung pag-support ng ex-husband doon sa kanyang anak. So, yun. Kapag natapos na nga yun, or yung bata na yun is marunong na siyang kumain, hindi na siya dumidedi sa kanyang nanay, is doon na, mapuputol yung maintenance sa kanya. Mai-stop na yun siya. Katulad din doon sa pag-support doon sa mother. Medical expenses. There are varying opinions regarding the husband's obligation to give medical attendance to the wife. The Sharia has thus explicitly defined the limits of maintenance, leaving to it be determined in accordance with the urf usages, and there is no doubt that it is considered part of maintenance by urf, and that urf disapproved the conduct of the husband who, while possessing the income, neglects his wife who needs medical attention, exactly as it considers a father blameworthy if he neglects his ailing child to provide medical attendance. So, right of a divorced wife to maintenance. Major schools of Muslim law concur that the divorced wife is entitled to support during the idda of revocable divorce. However, a widow is not entitled to support during the period of idda following her husband's death, whether she is pregnant or not, except that the Shafi'i and Maliki school states if the husband dies, she is entitled all the maintenance only to the extent of housing. The Shafi'is have said if she separates from her while she is pregnant then dies, her maintenance shall not cease while she is pregnant till after she shall have delivered. So, yan nga. Isa lang yung opinion nung mga Muslim law na yung divorced wife is masusuportahan siya hanggang during the idda of revocable divorce. Yun. Pero ang widow is matatapos na yung pag-support sa kanya nung time na patay na yung kanyang asawa. So, pero except lang daw according to Shafi and Maliki, kapag yung husband ay namatay siya, kumbaga, makakakuha pa rin siya ng support. Pero kapag nagkahiwalay sila na at time na yon is siya ay pregnant or buntis at namatay yung kanyang asawa, yung maintenance na yon is hindi rin matatapos. Hanggang sabi niya sa manganak na siya. So, iba yung opinion ni na Shafi'i at saka ni Maliki. Ang ibang Muslim law nagsasabi kapag ang widow is at the time na namatay na ang kanyang asawa is mapuputol na yung support na yun sa kanila. So, yung kay Shafi'i is hindi mapuputol yung pag-support nung para doon sa widow. But according naman sa Hanafi kay Hanafi, if she is revocable divorcee and the husband dies during the idda, her idda of divorce shall change into idda of death and her maintenance shall cease. So yun, kapag nagkahiwalay sila nung kanyang husband, during the idda na yun is namatay yung kanyang asawa, is hindi na siya, yung divorce na yun, yung idda of divorce is mapapalitan na siya ng idda of death. At yung maintenance na yun na pag-support sa kanya is mapuputol na, matatapos. According naman kay Hanafi. Except where she had been asked by court to borrow her maintenance and she had actually done so. So, yun. Except lang kapag yung court na yun, ang nagdikta kung yun, continue pa rin yung maintenance niya. In this case, the maintenance shall not cease. So, hindi yun mapuputol. The school differ regarding the maintenance of a divorcee during the idda of an irrevocable divorce. The Hanafi observed, she entitled to maintenance even if she has been divorced thrice, whether she is pregnant or not, on condition that she does not leave the house provided by divorcee's husband for her to spend the period of idda. So yun, according naman kay Hanafi is kahit pa is pangatlong beses sila nag-divorce or buntis yung kanyang asawa, is mananatili pa rin yung pag-support sa kanya or maintenance niya, but with the condition na hindi siya aalis doon sa kanilang bahay at the time na ini-spend niya yung period ng idda. So, according to Hanafi school, the rules which apply to a woman in an idda following the dissolution of a valid contract of marriage are same as those apply to a divorce in an irrevocable divorce. So, ganun din siya. Ganun din sa irrevocable divorce. According to Maliki school, if the divorcee is not pregnant, she shall not be entitled to any maintenance except residence. And if she is pregnant, she entitled to her full maintenance. It shall not subside even if she leaves the house providing for spending the idda, because the maintenance is intended for the child in the womb and not for the divorcee. So, yun naman yung according kay Maliki. Kapag hindi buntis, hindi pregnant yung divorced wife o yung divorcee, so, wala siyang makukuhang maintenance. Pero kapag pregnant is makukuha niya yung full maintenance. Kahit wala siya doon sa kanilang bahay para i-spend yung idda na yun, is yung maintenance na yun is maibibigay pa rin, dahil nga yung intention ng maintenance na yun is para doon sa bata na yun, sa sinapupunan ng kanyang ina. So, yan. The Shafi'i and Hanbali school state, if she is not pregnant, she is not entitled to maintenance. If she is pregnant, she is entitled to it. But Shafi'is add, if she leaves the house of her idda without any necessity, her maintenance shall cease. So, yun, nabanggit natin kanina yun. When wife entitled to separate maintenance. In Muslim law, generally, the husband is duty bound to maintain the wife if the wife lives with him in the same conjugal dwelling. However, in some cases, the husband, notwithstanding the wife living separately from him, is still obliged to provide her separate maintenance in the following instances. First, when they have agreed during their marriage that she will be entitled to receive alimony in the house of her parents, or else that she chooses to reside in case the husband has taken a second wife. Second, when the court exempts her from living with her husband due to the husband's non-payment of her prompt dower. When the conjugal dwelling is not keeping with her social standing, or is for any reason not safe for the members of the family of her property. 4. When he leaves the husband's house on account of his cruelty, or he turned her out of the conjugal dwelling, or that the misunderstanding between them is such that it is irremediable, and her return to the husband's house is likely to give rise to fresh trouble and disputes. So, ibang case naman ito siya. Kailan yung wife naman is entitled na mabigyan siya ng maintenance, pero in separation sila. So, according to the Muslim law is kahit yung husband, or at the time na iisang bahay sila, or separate sila, is obliged pa rin sa husband niya na ibigay yung maintenance ng kanyang wife. Pero may mga instances. Masusunod lang ito kapag may isa dito na mga instances na kailangang gawin. First, when they have agreed during their marriage that she will be entitled to receive alimony in the house of her parents, or else that she chooses to reside in case the husband has taken a second wife. So, yun. Makukuha niyo yung separate maintenance na yun kapag at the time na married sila, during their marriage is may agreement sila na kahit hindi sila magkasama sa isang bahay, is makakakuha pa rin siya ng maintenance o yung support sa kanyang husband. Pangalawa, when the court exempts her from living with her husband due to the husband's non-payment of her prompt dower. So, yun. Pangalawa is yung court na mismo yung nagsabi na yun, yung court na mismo yung nagdictate na in separation nila kapag yung husband na yun is hindi niya pa nababayaran yung Dory. Sa aking pagkakaintindi lang. Pangatlo, when the conjugal dwelling is not in keeping with her social standing or for any reason not safe for the members of the family of her husband. So yun, kapag hindi na ibigay yung magandang tirahan, yung tirahan nila according sa kung ano yung katayuan niya. Halimbawa yun, kapag marami nga siyang anak, kailangan may sarili silang bahay. So, kapag hindi nasunod yun is kahit separate sila is makakatanggap pa rin siya ng maintenance from her husband. For if he leaves the husband's house on account of his cruelty, or he turned her out of the conjugal dwelling, or that misunderstanding between them is such that is irremediable, and her return to the husband's house is likely to give rise to fresh trouble and disputes. Yun, kapag may mga misunderstanding sila or yung iba yung ugali ng husband niya is yun, kahit in separation sila is obliged pa rin sa husband na yung support niya sa kanyang wife. When husband not obliged to give maintenance to wife, the obligation of the husband to provide maintenance to the wife during the marriage is not absolute and unconditional. It hinges upon the condition that the wife lives with him in the same dwelling place and affords him the right of consortium. His obligation, therefore, to provide maintenance to his wife during the marriage may be excused if the wife, without any valid reason or just cause, commits of any following. When she refused to live with him in the same dwelling place, when she left their conjugal dwelling to live elsewhere, when she denies the husband to entry to the house to live with her. When their marriage is not proved to be irregular, is not consummated except in the case of marriage without witness. When she turned apostate, when she is guilty of infidelity, adultery, acts of lewdness. In spite of her husband's valid objections, she engages herself in some employment and thus keep herself out of purposes of earning and the employment, and thus he loses control over her. But the husband is responsible to pay maintenance to his wife of the period for which she lives with her parents with the permission of the husband. So, kailan ba yung husband sabi niya na hindi obliged sa kanya na ibigay yung maintenance ng wife? So, may mga instances na yung mga instances na binasa ko is yun yung yun yung instance na hindi na makakabigay ng maintenance si husband sa kanyang wife. When she refused to live with him in the same dwelling. Yun, kapag yung babae na yung ayaw niya na sa kanyang husband. So, when she leave their conjugal dwelling to live or else. When she denies the husband to entry to the house to live with her. Yun nga, yung babae na, yung wife na mismo yung ayaw sa husband niya. So, Kumbaga, wala namang valid reason, pero yon, when their marriage is proved to be irregular and is not consummated except in the case of marriage without witness. Masyadong malalim, di ko maintindihan. When she turned to apostate, when she is guilty of infidelity, adultery, acts of lewdness. Yun, kapag ang babae is nakagawa siya ng adultery, yung hindi ka aya-ayang gawain is parang yung example niya, yung nagtaksil siya sa kanyang asawang lalaki, is doon na mapuputol yung maintenance ng husband sa kanya. Support of children under the mandate under the mandate of Sharia, the father is unconditionally obliged to provide maintenance to his children in the case of his sons until they attain the age of majority, and in the case of daughters till they get married. So, yung pag-support naman sa kanyang anak is under sa mandate ng, kumbaga, yung authority ng Sharia is yon. So, yung pag-support ng husband, yung pag-support ng father sa kanyang anak is continuous yun siya, obliged sa kanya yung pag-provide niya ng maintenance sa kanyang anak. Hanggang sa, yung sa lalaki naman, yung pag-support, yung maintenance ng pag-support niya sa kanyang anak na lalaki is hanggang sa mag-matured na yung edad ng batang lalaki or yung balig na siya. But in the case naman ng babae, hanggang sa ikasal siya is yon, hanggang sa ikasal siya yung pag-support ng father sa kanyang anak. Yung pag-support ng father sa kanyang anak is kahit pa yung anak niya is disobedience or under the custody ng kanyang mother is hindi siya exempted. I mean, always pa rin yung pag-support niya sa kanyang anak. So, hindi siya exempted doon. So, always yung support niya kahit pa ganun yung instances. So, except sabi niya kapag yung bata na yon, yung children na yon is may sarili na silang properties na sapat yun upang ma-support niya yung kanyang sarili. Or kapag yung anak niya is may defect or may sakit is, or hindi niya kayang buhayin yung kanyang sarili or i-support ang kanyang sarili is obliged sa kanyang father yung continue yung pag-support niya sa kanyang anak hanggang sa mag-mature na ito. Respecting illegitimate children, the responsibility supporting of them is not incumbent on him. Under the Hanafi law, the mother is bound to support her natural son or daughter. So, kapag yung with due respect sa mga illegitimate na child, yun nga, hindi wajib doon sa father na isupport yung kanyang anak. Under the Hanafi law, yung mother yung magsusupport talaga sa kanya. Allahu a'lam. Sa akin lang pagkaintindi. Pero itanong natin sa may alam. Support between ascendants and descendants. The ascendants and descendants shall be obliged to support each other in order in which they are called to succeed by intestacy the person who has the right to claim support. Ito na yung pag-fix ng mga shares. Fixing of shares sa descendants at saka yung ascendants, kung sino ba yung right na makakakuha ng support na yon. Support between ascendant and descendant. Ancestors and descendants shall maintain each other mutuality without distinction of sex or religion, on the sole condition that the individual against whom the claim is brought himself possesses more than is necessary for the maintenance of himself and his household. Ascendants and descendants who are obliged to render mutual support. The code under the present article provides that the ascendants and descendants shall be obliged to support each other in the order in which they are called succeed by intestacy the person who has the right to claim. For example, in direct line, the parents can claim support first from the children before the grandchildren. So, yun. Napag-aralan na naman natin yung about sa faraid, kung paano yung pag-fix ng mga shares sa doon sa right na makakakuha ng support. Hanggang dyan na lang po ang aking report. Kung may kulang po ako is dahil po yun sa kumbaga kulang din yung kumbaga hindi pa sapat yung aking natututunan, striving pa po. Kung may kulang po ako sa mga kaklase kong ustads, kay ma'am, kayo na lang po yung bahalang magdagdag nun. Dahil yan lang po ang aking nakayanan.